A very good morning. Welcome to this edition of News for the Hearing Impaired. I'm Rukma and with me is Manisha. Let's begin with the headlines. Rajya Sabha passes Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill 2019 with government's amendments. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari says legislation will instill fear of law in people who violate traffic rules. Lok Sabha passes Interstate River Water Disputes Amendment Bill. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs 30th interaction through Pragati, reviews progress of flagship schemes of Ayushman Bharat and Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan. Nearly 35 lakh people have availed benefit under PMJAY so far. Calls upon states to put in maximum efforts towards water conservation. Reiterates commitment for housing for all by 2022. Union Cabinet approves Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Second Amendment Bill 2019, paving the way for extending benefit of reservation of up to 10% for economically weaker sections in educational institutions and public employment. President Ramnath Kovind addresses special session of Gambian National Assembly, says the two countries can help each other realize sustainable goals. Addressing Indian community in Gambia, President urges them to stay connected to their Indian roots. Supreme Court takes suo motu cognizance of Unnao rape survivor's letter to the Chief Justice of India claiming threat to her life. Apex Court to hear case today. CBI team visits the site for the probe into the road accident of the rape survivor. Registers murder case against Unnao MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar and 10 others. In international news, U.S. Federal Reserve cuts interest rates for the first time since 2008 global recession. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell cites concerns about global economy and mutes U.S. inflation, leaving the door open to further cuts. In sports, inaugural ICC World Test Championship begins today with first Ashes Test between Australia and England starting at Edgbaston in Birmingham. And now for our top story, the Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill 2019 will now travel back to the Lok Sabha to get its approval after the Rajya Sabha passed the legislation with some modifications. The lower house had already passed the bill on the 23rd of July. The upper house passed the bill on Wednesday with 108 votes in favor and 13 against, with 3 amendments moved by Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari. The bill proposes to tighten road traffic regulations such as issuance of driving license and impose stricter penalties for violations in an attempt to improve road safety. Replying to a debate on the bill, Gadkari allayed concerns of states, saying the centre was not encroaching on any of their rights, including the right to levy vehicle registration charge and permit fee, besides a posting of officials. Gadkari said the legislation will instill fear of law in people who violate traffic rules, as an intelligent traffic system will monitor traffic offences. He said that the process for obtaining driving licenses would now be computerized, and anyone, whether a minister or MP, will get licenses only after passing online tests. Advocating the London transport model, the minister stated that many state government undertakings had turned NPAs and the government was also exploring bringing in foreign funds. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday chaired the 30th meeting of Pragati, the ICT-based multimodal platform for proactive governance and timely implementation. This was the first Pragati meeting of the second term of PM Modi's government. During the meeting, the Prime Minister reviewed the progress of flagship schemes of Ayushman Bharat and Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan. PM Modi called upon states to put in maximum efforts towards water conservation, especially during the current monsoon season. He strongly reiterated government's commitment for housing for all by 2022. The Prime Minister exhorted officers to work diligently towards this objective and remove all hurdles coming in the way. The Prime Minister reviewed the progress in resolution of grievances related to the PM Awas Yojana Urban. The Union Cabinet has approved a bill that paves the way for 10% reservation for economically weaker sections in Jammu and Kashmir. The Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, gave its nod to the Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Second Amendment Bill, which seeks to extend reservation of up to 10% for economically weaker sections in educational institutions and public employment alongside existing reservations. In other key decisions, it also gave its nod to introduction of a bill in Parliament to reduce regulatory burden of registered chit funds industry and protect interests of subscribers. The Cabinet approved the proposal of the Department of Fertilizers for fixation of nutrient-based subsidy rates for phosphatic and potassic fertilizers. Other major announcements made by the Cabinet include an increase in the number of Supreme Court judges from 30 to 33, excluding the Chief Justice. President Ramnath Kovind on Wednesday addressed the National Assembly of Gambia. It was a rare honor given to the Indian president even when the assembly was not in session. The building of the assembly has been built on an Indian line of credit by an Indian company, Shapurji Palonji. Hailing the partnership between India and Gambia, the president called upon Gambian lawmakers to fight terrorism and Ebola. Earlier in the day, the president held one-to-one discussions with his Gambian counterpart, President Barrow. He also led delegation-level talks between the two sides. Speaking on the occasion, the president said that India is privileged to be a trusted partner for Gambia in its growth and prosperity. The Supreme Court will today hear a case pertaining to a letter alleging threat to the Unnao rape survivor's life. A bench headed by Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi yesterday took suo motu cognizance of the letter written to him on threats received by the rape survivor and her relatives. The Chief Justice also sought a report from its Secretary General as to why there was a delay in placing the letter before him. The letter came to light almost 2 days after a truck collided with the rape survivor's car, causing serious injuries to her and her lawyer. The accident, which occurred near Raebareli on July 28th, claimed the lives of 2 of her aunts. The Apex Court also asked the Uttar Pradesh authorities to file a status report by today on the accident. CBI has registered a case against MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar and 10 others in connection with the accident. The centre had on Tuesday handed over the probe to the CBI on the recommendation of the Uttar Pradesh government. The CBI team on Wednesday reached the spot of the accident in Raebareli and began a probe into the case. In Gujarat, unprecedented torrential downpour was witnessed in Vadodara, bringing much needed respite but causing waterlogging at several places. Vadodara District Collector has declared a holiday in all government, private and Vadodara Municipal Corporation run schools for today. All courts, including Taluka courts, are also closed today. Teams of NDRF and SDRF are on standby in North and South Gujarat and Saurashtra region to tackle any eventuality. Waterlogging was also witnessed in Navrangpura areas of Ahmedabad due to heavy rainfall. Chief Minister Vijay Rupani called a meeting in the evening to review the situation in Vadodara. He also visited State Control Office in Gandhinagar to take stock of the situation. Meanwhile, the Met Department has predicted widespread rainfall across the state till Sunday. Due to strong winds and rough weather along the Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa coasts, fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea. In Jammu and Kashmir, an unidentified terrorist was gunned down in initial phase of gunfight that raged between terrorists and security forces in Badarhama Zawura area in South Kashmir's Shopian district. Security sources say the body of the killed terrorist has been recovered along with arms and ammunition, and his identity and group affiliation are being ascertained. Earlier, a joint team of Army, Police and CRPF launched a cordon and search operation on the basis of a tip-off about the presence of terrorists in the area. Mobile internet services were snapped in the encounter area and other places in the district. The U.S. Federal Reserve has cut interest rates for the first time since 2008, citing concerns about the global economy and muted U.S. inflation. It also signaled a readiness to lower borrowing costs further if needed. Financial markets had widely expected the quarter percentage point rate cut, which lowered U.S. Central Bank's benchmark overnight lending rate to a target range of 2% to 2.25%. In a statement at the end of its latest two-day policy meeting, the Fed said it had decided to cut rates in light of the implications of global developments for the economic outlook as well as muted inflation pressures. The oldest rivalry in international cricket history is set to resume, with England and Australia locking horns in the first test of the Ashes series in Birmingham from today. The test match will also mark the beginning of the World Test Championship, ICC's dream project, which had been in the pipeline for some time. Australia are the holders of the Ashes urn after they won the last series at home 4-0 against England. The most famous trophy in the sport has been won by Australia 33 times, while England are just behind with 32 and are looking like the favourites to reclaim it in September. And that's all we have for you in this edition of News for the Hearing Impaired. Namaskar.